What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. Let's have a great Tuesday. We are 2 days away from NFL season, otherwise known as Aaron Brooks Days Away, UVA product from Newport News, Virginia. Aaron Brooks Days Away from NFL season. If you have a number 2 that you love, put it in the chat. Let's see. Speaking of 2s, let's see how we did yesterday. We brought you 7-2 yesterday, but today we bring you 2 and 3. I go 1 for 2. Buckets goes 1 for 2. And Mike McClure finally loses in college football with Florida State first quarter -4.5. And ladies and gentlemen, I brought up football so far. If you're a Florida State fan, you don't want to hear football, I got good news for you because we got soccer and MLB and just a little of NFL on today's show. But we're going to be bringing it with a ton of NFL in the very near future, including some picks from me tomorrow in the NFL. Let's bring in the stars of the show to talk soccer, to talk MLB, to talk NFL. Hello, Eric David, Reed Phillips, David Talk, Brad Betts, Mark, and of course, Sniper, Buckets, and Larry. Sniper, I got to start with you. We're starting with this twos theme, and you like to tell us a Chicago Bear that you love always when we do this countdown. Who's your favorite number 2, sir?
Yeah, I mean, DJ Moore. That's an easy one, but I also have a throwback that's pretty fun. When he played for the Bears, Doug Flutie was number 2.
Oh, yeah, Doug Flutie. Very underrated career. Larry Hartstein, a number 2 in the NFL that you want to pay homage to.
Well, we're on a CBS platform, so we got to go with our colleague Matt Ryan, number 2 of the Atlanta Falcons. And I was living there in Atlanta, and I just feel so bad for him that Kyle Shanahan did not know what yard line they were on, should have kicked the field goal. Instead, they fumbled. They lose the Super Bowl. But, oh well, still a great career.
Yeah, I have to always reconcile the fact that I think Kyle Shanahan's the best coach in the NFL with the fact that the late game activity in Super Bowls specifically has not been pristine. But I usually like to take a bigger sample size than that. And Kyle Shanahan's amazing. Buckets, you're amazing, and here's why. Speaking of 2s, it felt like in 2 seconds, you cashed your first bet yesterday. Talk to us about that, because I could have sworn the game started and then within, 30 seconds or so, we had cashed a bet.
Yeah, Atuano was a bit of a fun one yesterday in Brazil. We mentioned that for whatever reason, Atuano, a horrible side, always scores whenever they play Recife. They scored 31 seconds into the match. And Sia, I actually missed this. They also scored in the 90-plus 4th minute. So they scored on their very first kick of the match and the very last kick of the match. You got to love a team that does that.
That's incredible. We're going to come to you for a couple of soccer picks in just 1 second. I do want to point out, Sniper, you mentioned Doug Flutie, and it seemed like perhaps, Jeff Stenberg, he's always on top of it. He says Flutie was a great Boston College Eagle. Sniper taking veiled shots at FSU, and I'm here for it. Your thoughts, sir?
In all honesty, I had these numbers written down at the start of the night last night at like 7 o'clock. So I did not mean that, but I also think it is absolutely hilarious that it worked out that way. So let's just run with it.
Larry, before we get to Buckets 2 soccer picks, your reaction to seeing FSU fall for a second time in a row to 2 teams that were thought to be inferior to them?
Oh, it's just entertaining to see, the Twitterverse go wild. And Danny Cannell certainly was in the middle of all of it last night, our FSU alum at CBS. But, yeah, I enjoyed it personally.
I got to tell you, when they went up 14-0, I took a live bet because at certain books, it was going all over the place. At certain books, it was like -155. At other books, it was -135. I took a live bet money line on Boston College to win. But what happened was, when the second half started and BC scored a touchdown, the live line was +8.5. So I thought I got an amazing middle opportunity. So I went FSU, and they couldn't score a single touchdown, not even in garbage time, which was actually pretty pathetic, if I'm being honest. Like, that was an extremely sad performance on both sides of the ball. All right, let's get to some picks. Buckets, we're going to start with you. I'm already mad at you because I'm glancing ever so slightly at our show sheet here. And these are names that you know full well I am not going to be able to pronounce. And I might need to just tap you in for the recap screen, but you got the floor right now, my friend.
Sia, the reason I'm picking these hard to pronounce teams is because we are an international break. So to find the best value we possibly can, we got to bet on some of these, amateur, frankly, football clubs. And we're going to start with the DBU Pokalen Cup that starts at 12:30 this afternoon in a great matchup between Bordenschage BK and Vielge. And we're taking both teams to score. And I know we always say BTT score or BTTS as Buckets Classic, but rarely do we see BTTS at +140. But I love this line because Vielge right now, who plays in the top flight of Danish soccer is dead last on the table, which means they don't care about the cup games. They're focusing on not getting relegated. They're going to play their third strings here. They're not really going to try. And even though they're minus 900 favorites, they're not going to have a blowout victory. That's not how they do cup games. Meanwhile, Bornschage, playing at home, a third division club who was just promoted, have everything to play for, because when you are a smaller club, winning these cup games gives you money that might not mean a lot to the top flight, but it means everything to these third division clubs here. Bornschage will not win this game, but they can get at least one here at a plus 140. I'm absolutely taking a stab at that. Then, oh boy, here we go. We go to the KNVB Becker Cup in a matchup between Kozaken Boys Volkerdam versus Voetbal Varen Sint-Bavo Noordwijkerhout. There you go, Sia. You'll do just fine there. We're taking over 3.5 goals at plus 100. Again, I like the plus numbers today here. I like the even money in this one. And if you like goals, then you love the KNVB Becker Cup, because these are amateur sides playing. These are guys whose full-time job is not to play football. They're working their 9 to 5, then going home, getting dressed, having dinner, and playing in these cup games. But when you have amateur teams, the one thing you get are goals. If you look at VVSB's games so far this season, 3-1, 4-1, 3-1, 5-3. Teams that absolutely do not play defense, but love attacking. And they're going against a worse side in the Kozaken Boys who do not play defense at all. This game could have 3-4 goals in the first half. So I love the fact that I can get the whole match over 3.5 at plus 100.
I'm really quite mad at you here, Buckets, because I can do the VV thing, though. I like, if we can abbreviate that Sint Babo thing and just do VV instead of whatever you just said, I think I can handle that part of it. This is going to be pretty comical. Thanks for nothing, Buckets. There's a lot of picks in the chat, by the way. If I didn't already say, hit the like button, but Liddy's got some picks. New York Mets run line plus 165. Moshi has a ton of picks he put in there, so check those out. Of course, Brad Betts, I'm sure, has some picks in here along with many others. If you want to make those picks, or the picks you're about to hear from Sniper in MLB, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to Sniper's picks. We got to get to Maestro's picks. We got to get to my pick. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Hey, my first hot take of the year. When Sunday football isn't enough. Dislike that take.
Great take.
That other pregame show will put you over the top.
I'm all in. Let's go viral here.
Every Sunday, all the insight you need on CBS Sports Network.
We're back on the Early Edge, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Sniper, you were here on Friday, and you said, hey, it's not been the greatest week for me, so I'm going to scale it back a little bit, use that blackjack analogy that all the Kenny Rogers fans in the chat absolutely love, all of us dating ourselves, of course. You hit that bet quite easily, but now you're back with 2 bets. You have the floor, Matt Sniper.
That's right. I feel rejuvenated. I feel back. I was very excited about hitting 1 and going 1 for 1 after what was a rough week before that. So yeah, we're going to get it done today. I've got a big plus money one on this one. I'm going to go Mets. I was going to pick the Mets on the money line, and then I saw that plus 160 sitting here on the run line, and I was like, you know what? The Mets are going really, really well right now. The Red Sox are not going well right now at all. So it's only another run. Why not just play this one? So I'm all over this run line here, or in the parlance of Mr. Buckets, the RL. The Mets are 50-29 since June 2nd, and that's a pretty decent sample size right there. That's tied for the best record in baseball since that point in the season, along with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've also won 10 of their last 14. They've played some tough competition in there. Obviously, there's 3 wins over the White Sox, but what good teams do is take care of business against the really bad teams. They've also been beating good teams. The Red Sox, meanwhile, have lost 8 of their last 11. Got David Peterson on the mound for the Mets, 1.86 ERA in his last 6 starts right now. Cutter Crawford, on the other hand, for the Red Sox, 7.24 ERA in the second half. And he is very prone to giving up home runs in bunches. So if you're looking for a home run prop, and you like the Mets, maybe Francisco Lindor, who is having a second place MVP caliber season. Maybe Brandon Nimmo, who has homered in only 2 at-bats against Cutter Crawford. Maybe Pete Alonso, because Crawford actually has reverse splits this year where he's been way harder on lefties than righties. Maybe you want to look at that, because I know people ask about home run props. Also, somebody asked about a team total in the chat. I've got you a team total right here. I've got the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going as good as anybody right now. They're playing so well. They look like one of the best teams in baseball, as Jackson Chourio is really coming into his own to help make up for that production he lost when Christian Yelich went down with the season-ending injury. Steven Matz on the hill for the Cardinals. 6.18 ERA this year before he got injured. Last two AAA starts, he allowed 8 runs in 8 innings combined. Not seeing what is going to be very helpful for him to rejoin the Cardinals rotation right now, but obviously they're not in a great shape with their rotation right now. And they're just going to see what they can get out of him the rest of the season heading into next year. The Brewers average 4.77 runs per game at home, but again, this is a much better matchup for them than that. So I believe we're going to get over this 4.5 with plenty of time to spare. And we don't have to worry about that 9th inning at bat. They're not going to need it, and they're not going to get it because they're going to win anyway.
Shout out to all the very subtle references that you provide in your takes that a lot of people don't notice, but I do. I've got your team total right here. Absolutely love that. Mark Buckholt says, Bucket's trying to make Sia sound like a substitute teacher with these pronunciations. Of course, that's a reference to Key and Peele. Shout out Aaron, Balake, and D-Nice. All right, let's get to a couple of names that are easy to pronounce. Dodgers, Angels, Reed Detmers, Walker Buehler. Where is Walker Buehler this season? I'm starting to see, maybe you disagree, Sniper or Larry, but I'm starting to see signs from Walker Buehler. Obviously hasn't been a great season, but I honestly liked what I saw against the Orioles. There were 4 runs allowed, but only 2 earned runs. He hasn't gone really 5 innings. I know Amags is in the chat. He can give his opinion on this if he wants, but I like the Dodgers first 5 here, -0.5. I think Walker Buehler, I'm just watching him. It looks like the stuff is there in spite of him not going long and the last few games haven't been super great. But again, against the Orioles, I thought he was pretty good. Reed Detmers, on the other hand, been pretty bad all season, was in AAA, was pretty bad in AAA actually, but then started to improve a little bit. So I got to give him a little credit. I think he might be back to the Reed Detmers that we maybe knew and loved last year, but that's still not Walker Buehler talent, and it's still not good enough to keep this Dodgers team down that's been scoring a ton of runs and won 5 out of 6, and they've been doing it at the plate more than anything else. I just don't trust this Angels lineup. I think we see Walker Buehler really come back to form against this lineup in particular, and I think the Dodgers score enough run to lay the run line on the first 5. Dodgers first 5, -0.5, -127. Before we get to Larry's picks, Sniper, you hate it, you love it, you're just kind of in between, lukewarm about it.
In between. I mean, the Angels are terrible, and the Dodgers have been slugging the ball over the place. They've actually, in a bigger sample set, they've won 17 of their last 23. A lot of that has been offensively because of how much the pitching staff is in tatters. But, maybe they need somebody to step up in the rotation right now, and you might look around and say, anyone, Buehler? Because you like the references, so I thought I had to throw one more in there.
Larry, we got your picks coming up. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There are only so many movies that actually withstand the test of time. In other words, some movies are just so dated that like the certain generations just not going to really appreciate it. I feel like Ferris Bueller is one of very few movies, and Buckets, I trust you've never seen this movie, but I feel like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, exactly, is one of those movies that like somebody of a much younger generation can watch and be like, I actually appreciate this movie. Your thoughts on that? And in the chat, are there any other movies that you think withstand that test of time that I'm talking about?
Well, I think, Buckets, that's your first order of business today is to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And then you can throw in Risky Business also if you want to go into a similar genre. But go do it right now and just save us some trouble. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like Risky Business, Sniper, is a rung below in terms of the withstanding test of time type movies, right? Like,
it's not as funny. Like, I think it's as much of a classic, but like, yeah, I think in Ferris Bueller's probably a lot more harmless,
Yeah.
So
I think Big Cheesy and Mark Buckholz both at the same time said The Breakfast Club. I think that's a pretty solid one. I don't know, Brad Betts, that Animal House lives up to what I'm describing, or Forrest Gump, or 16 Candles for that matter. Office Space is an interesting one. I like that.
It's probably not old enough, but Office Space is amazing if you've ever worked in an office, even for a few months.
Yeah, Office Space is a good one. That qualifies. Van Wilder is an excellent take by Mark M. Van Wilder for sure. Back to the Future is another one. Okay, so Buckets, before we get to Larry's picks, have you seen
Back to the Future is, for me, Back to the Future's on that
100%. Yes. Have you seen any of the movies I just listed off?
The only movie I've seen is Office Space.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
I'll tell you this, in all honesty, of all the movies that were just mentioned, I think you should watch Back to the Future. It's got everything in it. I think that one you can watch modern day and be like, all right, I love this movie. And I'll say Van Wilder, I think you'll absolutely love as well. All right, Larry, sorry for the delay, but we got to get to what I love about this is we're 2 days away. Aaron Brooks, Matt Ryan days away from NFL season. And you've got an NFL prop for us, and you're going on the defensive side of the ball, which you did so successfully last year. So I appreciate that you're doing that. You got MLB as well. So I know you're going to start there, but I just want to tell everybody, you saw our NFL schedule yesterday. We're going to have NFL content on this channel, but of course on SportsLine throughout this whole season. It's going to be a lot of it. And I'm going to bring some NFL tomorrow. I know, like, basically from here on out, we're going to have NFL picks, even on non-NFL days. Of course, we're going to have college football picks as well. We've got NFL and college football the rest of the way. And we've got the best people to break all of that stuff down. And that includes one, Larry Hartstein. Larry, you've got the floor. You've got MLB. You've got NFL.
Well, thank you, Sia, and I'm excited for your picks. You had a great NFL season last year on SportsLine. I'm going to start in the MLB with Lawrence Butler. I just love this kid, 24 years old, first year in the majors. Do you realize not only does he have a 12-game hitting streak, he has gone over this prop, this hits, runs, and RBI prop 11 straight times. And he has a pretty reasonable number today. He's facing Luis Castillo, who has not been as dominant lately, a 4.66 ERA over five August starts. He's not as good on the road. He's not as good against left-handed pitching. And I'm just going to keep riding it because this kid has been absolutely sensational and dynamic to watch. He's fun to watch. He's one of the most exciting players in baseball. Let's go over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And Sia, yes, thank you for the shout out. My first defensive prop of the NFL season. It was 32-17 last year on these defensive props. Trenton Simpson of the Ravens, the linebacker, stepping in for Patrick Queen, over 6.5 tackles and assists. That's even money across every major book. And, you know, there was no way they were going to keep Patrick Queen next to Roquan Smith. You couldn't pay him the $40 million that the Steelers paid him, but they were very confident in Trenton Simpson. And if you saw what he did in the last game of the season, he played 26 snaps and he racked up 7 tackles. If you saw what he's done all preseason, played 3 quarters against the Eagles, had 11 tackles. And it's not just stopping the run. This guy drops back in coverage. This guy rushes the passer. He's all over the field. He was a 3rd-round pick out of Clemson last year. He sat 1 year watching Patrick Queen, watching Roquan Smith. He's going to step in. I think he's going to blow up. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 10 tackles, combined tackles and assists on Thursday night. I love this play over 6.5.
I love it. I love, because you're one of the few that goes on the other side of the ball to examine these tackles. Hyper, I see you kind of nodding your head like this. This is, you look excited just to have heard that.
Yes, I am. You know, like you said, you don't often see people diving into like the number of tackles and stuff like that. So I just thought it was cool. And I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for the season.
Reminder for those primetime games like Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, we will have primetime coverage like we always do, like we've done the last 4 years. I believe those shows start at 7:15. They'll be very exciting. A lot of different betting options, not just against the spread or over-unders. Got a lot of props, first touchdown bets, you name it. Those shows will have it. Larry, real quick before we get to the recap screen, which I'm obviously stalling because I don't want to get to Bucket's picks here. But do you... Like, I don't think you have an official play on the spread here. Do you, like, if you had to lean right now on a Tuesday, one way or the other, on the Chiefs -3, this is not an official play, I'm not holding you to it, on the Chiefs -3 or the Ravens +3, where would the lean be, or would it be to like a total?
Well, I actually do have a play on it. See, it's not, I wouldn't say my strongest play. It's not a play that, you know, I hammered for a big amount, but I do lean with the points, taking the Ravens and the points, just because, you know, John Harbaugh in season openers, we know how good Andy Reid is with time to prepare, but John Harbaugh 6-1 straight up and against the spread in his last 7 openers. The loss was an overtime loss in Vegas, but those wins, those covers have come by an average of 19 points. So he always has his team ready to play. The other factor for me is, you know, they didn't run the ball in the AFC title game. For some reason, they decided not to hand the ball off to any running backs, but now you have Derrick Henry. So that's going by the wayside. They are going to run the ball. And just Lamar Jackson as a dog, 11-2 against the number. You have to go back a long time to find a game when he started, when he was healthy, when he was a dog, that he didn't cover. So I just think it's going to be a classic game. I think it's going to be a thriller, probably 24-21, one way or the other. And I took the points.
Yeah, I mean, Sniper, before you go, I just want to say that I don't have an official play in this game yet. We'll see if I have one. I probably will have at least one. The first half under kind of screams to me a little bit, with both offenses probably trying to run the ball a little bit, feel each other out. And obviously with Marquise Brown out, we'll see how high flying that offense is in week 1 against the Ravens D of all teams. Sniper, go ahead.
A couple of questions. I saw the Cubs Pirates no run first inning. Oh, I definitely would advise against that. I mean, the Cubs have now, this will be the 4th time they've seen Paul Skeens this year. They scored in the first inning against him last time out. Plus, Justin Steele got scratched from the start with an elbow injury, and it's going to be Kyle Hendricks. You have to imagine there's going to be a run in the first inning with between those two things I mentioned. And also, somebody said, Liddy asked, any Ohtani props tonight? You know what? With Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez behind Ohtani, as much as he's running when he gets on base, it feels like a good bet that he's always going to score at least one run. So if you can see the half run scored on there, but also you could probably go with the hit run RBI prop as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully that comes in the first 5 innings. Liddy says Freddie Freeman over a half a walk at plus 140. A lot of picks in the chat. My apologies for not getting to them. Buckets, did I miss anything on the pitch from you in terms of questions?
The only thing you possibly missed was people talking about a team called the New Saints in the Welsh Premier League. Pretty much if you see them play, you just bet on goals, and that is a team that you look to ladder. So over 1.5 goals in the first half, over 2.5 goals in the first half, 3.5 goals. They're a fun team to watch.
Wow, that sounds fun. Brad Bet says, ready for NFL player props. I think the play I'm going to bring tomorrow is going to be a prop for Sunday. Maybe I'll bring multiple. I'm not sure, but it's going to be, this is obscure. That's what I'm looking for, right? It's going to be a player prop in the Seattle Denver game, which I alluded to on CBS Sports Network a couple weeks ago. I think I'm actually going to put the play in now. Just requires a little bit more research. So stay tuned tomorrow. Definitely some more NFL plays. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. Don't forget, A-Mags is in the chat, dropping knowledge as well. I've got the Dodgers first 5 -0.5 at -127. Buckets is on, oh, here we go. Bronshaj, BK, Vele, both teams to score at plus 140, and Kazakin boys, VV Sint Bavo over 3.5 at plus 100. Sniper, Mets -1.5 at plus 160, and the Brewers team total over 4.5 at plus 110. A lot of plus money from Sniper, big time plus money at that. Not worried about taking some chances. Larry Hartstein, Lawrence Butler over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at -120, and Trenton Simpson over 6.5 tackles plus assists at plus 100. Well, Larry Hartstein says it all. Brad Morris says it all. Good luck, y'all. Have a great day. Exactly. Good luck. Let's have a great day. Let's stay positive. Let's say hello to a stranger. Let's make somebody's day. Let's hold a door open. Let's let somebody else in front of us getting into the elevator. Whatever it is, let's make it a positive day. Let's cash some tickets on behalf of the Maestro, Buckets, Sniper, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. This is the Early Edge. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We'll see you soon, folks. We rest our case.